we've talked about in this program, who has the belt? Who is the best program in college basketball? And a lot of people would say, hey, Villanova. 2 titles within the past 6 years now, I think is where we're at. However you have to extend that out.
Yeah, you keep 2 titles in the last 7 years, 2 titles in the last 8 years. We're just going to keep doing it.
Just keep doing that. And then you got Baylor, of course, coming off a national title, coming off the disrespect by the mainstream media.
Baylor did win the national title last year. I think people forget.
People forget. And they also forget that Scott Drew was actually confirmed a good coach.
Yeah.
So now he's got his team rolling. Like you said, they play great defense, and they embarrassed the Wildcats in this game.
Embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah. They punked them.
And reminded us why they won the national championship, and it's because of the defensive end.
They are. It is staggering. I got to ask Andy about this because Scott Drew, I remember vividly the 2010, they went to the Elite Eight that year. 2012, they go to the Elite Eight.
Mm-hmm. They lost to Duke in 2010.
Yeah. In 12, they lost to Kentucky, I think, in the Elite Eight. So they lost the national
Blue
champions.
Bloods. And now they're New Bloods.
Yeah, national champions, too, in the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Could have been them.
But I remember watching those teams, man. Like that era of Scott Drew Baylor basketball was maddening because their defense was their weakness. That's what you would watch. You'd be like, this team could be good if they could guard anybody, if they could consistently get stops. And he would throw out that garbage 1-3-1 amoeba zone that he was trying to. I didn't even know it wasn't the 2-3, but it kind of looked like a 2-3. But then it'd be a 1-3-1.
It was just something.
Dude, it was a mess. And I remember just pulling my hair out, thinking what is this guy doing? That's where I started that's why I started the Scott Drew, is he a good coach or not thing? Because I'd see people just if you watch Baylor, they were super talented. They would go to Elite Eights. Mm-hmm. They could never get over humps. They would never actually compete for Big 12 titles because they would, in the biggest moments, I wouldn't even say choke. They would just be in over their heads.
Yes. They looked overwhelmed.
And for us to look up now in 2021, and Scott Drew is the defense. It's not even Tony Bennett anymore. It used to be Tony Bennett was the defensive. It's true.
Virginia fans.
It's true.
Earmuffs.
If you were if you were an athletic director and you had to hire a coach and I don't know. I'm trying to think of the hypothetical. The one guy who you want to coach your defense in basketball. Mm-hmm. It's Scott Drew, no longer Tony Bennett. Is that not correct?
Yeah, I mean, one or the other. Definitely, one or the other.
I mean, I think the last.
I would give it to. I think if you wanted to have defensive identity by that moniker, I would go Tony Bennett.
If you're Steve Kerr, Team USA, and you can't get these guys to play defense. You're calling Tony Bennett?
Absolutely.
All right, I'm calling Scott Drew now.
Well,
I'm calling Scott Drew. I like it. The results speak for themselves, dude.
Yeah.
At this moment in time, the last 3 years, Baylor has become an absolute juggernaut defensively, and it just blows my mind how it happened because Scott Drew, I watched a decade worth of basketball where Scott Drew's teams could not play defense, and now they're holding Villanova to 36 points. Is that right?
And how did
I see it? I watched the game. I see the number up there. It still doesn't even make sense to me. 36. It's crazy.
And how did he get them to buy in? Because every single coach, and Scott Drew included, has yelled about, we got to buy in defensively. That's what every coach yells about. We got to buy in defensively. Mm-hmm. This has to be our identity. Did he neg this team into being good? Did he just talk about offense? And then they were like, we actually love defense, and our coach doesn't talk about. I mean, I don't know how this happened. I don't know how they all bought in, but it is an identity within the program. They are obviously defensive first, and they like and enjoy the process of, like you said, for lack of a better term, punking the other team. I mean, they thrive in that environment, and it used to be in the big games, a Duke, a Kentucky, they were, this is a big moment, we're not here. And now when they get in those moments, they're laughing about it,
Yeah.
And it's like the Joe Pesci kind of laughing, it's like they're happy to be here. They're happy to be in the chaos. And people that enjoy the chaos are always like Ron Artest of the world, people that enjoy the chaos, you have to worry about them in big moments.
I had a feeling Baylor was going to be pretty good this year, and
they're really good.
I
changed the pretty to really.
Yeah, because we talked about in the preview. I asked, I was like, it's funny that Baylor won the national title last year, and it seems like nobody's talking about them coming into the season. Mm-hmm. Because the moment the clock's at 0, it's like we handed the trophy to Baylor. And then we turned to Mark Few and Gonzaga, and we're like, Chet Holmgren coming in, it's going to be really amazing. Good. And man, Drew Timmy's coming back.
Coach
man,
K farewell tour.
And everyone just pushed Baylor away.
Yes.
And then you looked at who Baylor brought back, and you're like, they're going to be pretty good. And I didn't think they were going to be this good, but I thought they're going to be in the conversation, whatever that conversation is. They're going to be in it, Tate. We're going to look up in March, and Baylor's going to have a shot to go back to back. I just wasn't quite sure how good of a shot it was going to be. And what's interesting to me is that I remember in the preseason thinking, if in fact they are going to go back to back, it's because Matthew Meyer is going to be just like otherworldly offensively. He's going to be he's just going to go nuts.
The best small forward in the country, I think is what you said.
And that hasn't happened. And they're now the number one team in the country because their defense, I never saw a world in which they would lose their top 3 guards and their defense would, I don't know if it's better. I think like what the metrics say it's better. And so everyone's going to say it's better because the metrics say it's better.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to say it's better yet, but right now it might be better. And that's crazy that Baylor's defense might be better than it was last year.
And what I'm really looking forward to as I kind of project out is Kansas's offense versus Baylor's defense.
Yes.
And I think as much as we have all these challenges in the Big East by challenge rankings, I think is the number 1 conference this year. The Big 12, to me, might have the 2 best teams in the country. When you talk about Baylor and you talk about Kansas.
Okay.
They're the most fascinating teams to me, and they're obviously going to be battling it out for the Big 12. And
shout out Texas. Shout out Chris Beard in Texas.
I mean, come on. You know where I stand. You know where I've stood. I didn't believe it. And maybe I'll be proven wrong, but Kansas and Baylor to me are fascinating in the Big 12. Yeah. That is my favorite conference race right now to watch.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
The Big 12 race is going to be like that's what's I guess coming out of this game. Maybe that is like the takeaway is every conference race going to be awesome because Villanova, like traditionally the Big 12 and the Big East have been dominated by one program. It's Kansas in the Big 12. It's Villanova in the Big East. Baylor is every bit as good as Kansas. Like they won the national title this year, as we've said. I mean, for God's sakes. I don't
but I like that we have to reiterate.
But like now you're looking at it. Baylor, Kansas is once again, like it was last year, like it was the year before. Baylor, Kansas is a legitimate, and I'm not ready to throw Texas completely. I don't think Texas is going to win the Big 12, but they're going to be the upset. You know, like when they play all these teams twice, Texas is going to beat some combination of these teams.
Baylor at home.
Yes. So now the Big 12 race is very fascinating. I agree with you. But also, Villanova losing by 21, scoring 36 points. And you look around the rest of the Big East and how good some of these teams are. Seton Hall, Xavier. Sorry, Jim, but St. John's.
UConn.
Doesn't really.
UConn,
very good. But you look at the Big East picture and you're like, is this finally the year that Villanova might finish 3rd or something? Probably not.
Seton Hall is my favorite team in the Big East. I'm not saying they're going to win the regular season, but I think in the tournament, that's my team to watch out for. And obviously, they own New Jersey. They beat Rutgers, coming off Rutgers' win against Purdue.
Yeah.
We did not talk about that at the end of the last show, but shout out to Seton Hall.
Yeah. So that is going to be the SEC is going to be awesome too. I knew it was going to be before the start of the season, but it's going to be really good. All those SEC teams.
7 ranked teams. In
Kentucky
the top 25.
might be like the 6th best team in the SEC right now.
What happens with Calipari?
Crazy.
I mean, what happens with Calipari, if things go south again after last year?
I don't know.
What happens to the lifetime contract?
I don't know.
Hey there, thanks for watching Titus and Tate. For the full friend of the program experience, subscribe right below and come join us for all things college basketball. The action is heating up. Come join Titus and Tate.